podcast. I am so happy to be here with you today. And as you probably know, if you've been watching for a while, I've been really busy working on a lot of different projects, and that has brought me to Santiago. And I have been spending a lot of time in this great city. And you know, every time I walk into the square, every time I see, you know, any part of the cathedral, no matter where I am in the city, I get so excited. I think I will always be a pilgrim at heart, and I am just enjoying being back here. It is just so fun and such an honor to watch pilgrims walking into the square. So one pilgrim I would have really loved to have seen walked in is with me today, and Nagela Ampudia. Did I get it right this time?
You did, actually. Good job.
As everyone that watches, you know I'm not great with names, so that's always the first step for every interview for me. Anyway, I first became aware of her. I was on Facebook, you know, as we all do, scrolling, and there was a post on a Facebook group called Camigas. Mm-hmm. And something about your post, Nagela, I don't know how many people have seen your posts on there, but one of the first ones I saw that you wrote just really hit me. I found it so raw, so honest, and so balanced. I think sometimes when we're writing things, and I'm probably so guilty of this myself, is it's like everything was just unicorns and light today out on the Camino. And I felt like you just came across so real. And I was like, I'm going to start watching what she's doing. Like, I'm really interested. And so I kept watching your posts after a couple of days. And I started seeing you resonate with everyone. I mean, everyone was liking your posts, asking you questions. And I was just very impressed with you. And the level of detail that you offered, I thought was amazing. So I knew right away that I wanted to talk to you at some point, and I think I reached out to you. And let's go back to, you started walking. What month was it when you started walking?
I started walking early June. I think it was like, yeah, July. I'm sorry. It was like July 6th, I believe. I can look at July 8th. I think that was the first day of my Camino. July 8th or 9th. Yeah.
Okay. So I was waiting on my visa, hoping to move to Spain during that time. So I was watching you very enviously, you know, wanting to get here and start walking. So, wow, there are so many things I want to talk to you about today. I didn't even know back then that you were going to do a documentary, and you were...
I didn't know either, actually. I could talk about that, and I can talk about that more, but I didn't know. I've always documented stuff. Like, I love taking photos and videos, but that's tied to other things with memory and loss in my life. So I'm very much about like just keeping track of memories and feelings. And I'm just such a nostalgic person. So I think it's just my way of coping with, like, my life has changed so much in like such a short period of time, it feels. And I just kind of always knew when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, I just feel like life changes a lot. Like, I remember I wrote this journal entry at 13, and I said, like, I don't know, I just feel like my life won't be the same how it is now. And I just kind of always felt that, like, this grief. And I think the way I coped with that, and my life did change drastically over the years, a lot of loss and pain. And I think I just was like, let me just document every little memory and feeling to hold on to it so I can always revisit it. So I do that in my life frequently. It's like my coping mechanism, I guess, for like how it always is changing. But so I didn't intend to make like a feature length thing, but I saw that it was an important thing to do for myself and to complete my story for myself. And that's why I did it. But yeah.
Well, I will have the link to your documentary in the show notes, of course. So I encourage everyone to go back and watch her documentary. Please see it, because if you have already walked the Camino, you are going to feel like you are getting another chance to see where you've recently walked. Watching her documentary made me feel like I was back on the Camino. I mean, I could literally feel myself walking in some of the places that you were showing in your footage. So I think anyone that's walked, you're going to really enjoy just getting to relive the Camino and hear the words that you added to the footage. I think are just beautiful and moving. We'll talk a lot about some of those. But also, if you haven't walked yet, I think you really will get a sense of what walking the Camino is actually like. I think it's a very realistic view of what you experience as a pilgrim. So I think you did a great job with that. So
thank you so much.
I want to go back to, when I knew when you graciously said, yes, I'll do an interview with you, after I finished Camino. So I went back and I looked at your blog, and I think right away you resonated even more with me. You were writing some really moving posts about the griefs, different grief that you've experienced in your life. And you are a talented writer. And I think that really comes through on your blog, also in the documentary and in all the posts. So let's go back to, deciding to walk 800 kilometers anywhere, but across the country of Spain is a big undertaking. What made you decide that this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to take on this challenge.
Just thinking about that moment makes me so emotional. I don't know why. I didn't expect to cry, but my boyfriend and I, my partner and I, right before the pandemic hit, we moved to Thailand, and then we ended up staying during the pandemic because we just couldn't leave, really. And it was just well, we feel safer in Thailand than going back to the States or traveling. So we were in Thailand, this small little island called Koh Phangan, which is one of the most interesting places on earth. But we were there, and I was grateful for being in paradise, but it really was that thing I was lost in paradise, and I kind of was feeling island fever, and I was feeling very lonely, even though I had my partner, and just isolated. And I started reading a lot. I used to read a lot when I was younger, and I kind of stopped the past 10 years. I'm 32 now, so yeah, I stopped reading probably my 20s. But and I was I'm gonna reread some of my favorite books. I reread The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. And it just I don't know, it's such a short book, but it just had this profound impact on me. I was I felt I needed to move, I needed movement. And on this island, it wasn't really a place where you could go on long walks, and it was just different. It was beautiful and it was healing, but it wasn't a place where I felt active physically. And I felt I needed to connect this restlessness with my with my mind. And I also had this restlessness with my body. And then for some reason, I was reading The Alchemist, and he's going on a pilgrimage, funny enough. And I read the book, and then there was an author's blurb about the author, and it said he did the Camino de Santiago. And I was what is that? And it's an 800 kilometer hike across Spain or something like that. And then it was a Catholic pilgrimage. And my family's very Catholic. We're from Panama. And so I didn't grow up Catholic, but my grandmothers were extremely Catholic, and everyone was just I was very aware of it. And I appreciate religion a lot. I'm not a part of a religion, but I know what it means to people. So I just understood how deep that would mean to go on a pilgrimage, and what that meant. I don't know. And I just felt I needed it. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to do this. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to do this. And that was probably February. So the pandemic was still happening. Fast forward a couple months, restrictions were kind of lifting, things were happening. And my restlessness was at a peak. And I was just feeling really empty. I was I gotta get out. I gotta get out of Thailand. I need to move. And I just thought of the Camino, and I was I'm going to do it. And I just made a decision, and I just went for it. It was literally 1 week to the next. I didn't plan anything really.
So no training,
no training. I mean, nothing. I felt that when I started the Camino, I definitely felt out of sorts. I mean, I saw people who you would think stereotypically, I'm oh, there's no way they can walk as much as me or something like that. And that's my mother's a gerontologist. So she's always calling out Nagela, that's very ageist, or why can't, in movies when I was older, when I was younger, I would look at people her age, having, intimate scenes. I'd be ew. So she always made me very aware of my bias. Why not? Age has nothing to do with your ability. So, but I felt that came out on the Camino, because there was a lot of people most people were probably 50s, 60s, 40s, not really that many people. I felt in their 20s or 30s as much. So that was surprising. But anyway, so I just saw all these people from all different walks of life just killing it. And I was it was so hard for me. I was exhausted. I was out of shape. So I felt that I wasn't prepared. I definitely did feel that I should have trained. I think maybe I should have been prepared. My bag was too heavy. I was just exhausted.
That was a couple of questions I have for you. Oh gosh,
so hard. It was really hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to quit every day, but I wanted to be there too, just as much, more than I wanted to quit. So I kept going, but it was really difficult physically.
Beautifully said. I wanted to be there more than I wanted to quit. So even though you wanted to quit every day, you still had the drive to still be there.
Yeah.
I loved one of the things that you said in your documentary. And I'm not going to quote it exactly right, but it was along these lines that you realized that you were walking slowly, maybe walking slower than others. And so I think the line was something like that. So what did I do? I just slowed down more, and I loved that aspect. I feel like looking at your journey, so many people that I have walked with are on this time constraint. Maybe they can't maybe take a lot of time off work, or it becomes like this hurry, this challenge, and they just can't wait to get to Santiago. And I felt like you really took your time. You really recognized early on that it wasn't about a race. So I wonder if you could kind of touch upon that and maybe give some encouragement to other folks of why you came to that conclusion and what the gift is in slowing down and not rushing to get to the end.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that was such a huge theme. I think for just on the Camino in general, there is this little competition with how many kilometers people are walking in a day, how fast you get to like Santiago, if you're carrying your bag or sending it ahead. And there's all these different ways that everyone's like measuring people up. And I've always, I think growing up, I've always felt very different. So I've always been very aware of when people try to make me feel like I'm less than. So I think that I would see that and I really like shied away from it, but it was still hard. It was still like this, because as humans, we want to be a part of the pack, right? At the end of the day,
Right.
no one wants to feel different. So literally everyone I started with at SJPDP or people I became familiar with, because you see the people on the trail, they were all ahead of me, like days ahead. And I think because I physically couldn't walk any faster, I had to accept it. Like I had to literally surrender. Like my body was saying, well, if you keep pushing it, you're going to injure yourself, one, and you're going to be miserable, even more miserable than you are now because you're tired. So I just really slowed down. I will be honest that like I had the financial means to go slower. So I could spend I burned through my savings, but I was willing to do that for this. And I also didn't have, at that point, I wasn't working because I didn't have a contract. So I had the time and the space to do it and the financial means. Some people don't. And I got to be honest about that. Some people are like literally there for a weekend. They're like, I got to get to like Burgos. Like this is it. And then next year I'm coming back again. But I feel like if you really have the means and if you can like create the time, take your time. Like it took me 55 days to get to Santiago, which is, everyone, when I tell them that, they're like, what? Because most people it's like 35 days. So I literally spent like basically an extra month there because I would just be in a city. Like I remember, which city was it? Now I'm forgetting. It was Nagela. I just, for some reason, like I just love Nagela. I don't know why it resonated with me so much. And like, that's a place I would have stayed like a week, right? Just exploring the monastery further. So it's like, it's like explore. Like, when are you going to get to explore northern Spain like this? The different languages, the different cultures, the different foods. It's just so rich. So I think for me, I was just like, I leaned into like being a slow walker and being inexperienced. And I was also alone, and which I wanted. I really needed that time within space with myself. But I took in the richness all around me. You know what I mean? And that helped make it a little bit, that made it better. So I didn't feel like I was just a slow poke. Like I wasn't a loser. I was just like, I actually was enjoying, I feel like I had a deeper Camino experience. And that's why I was able to take like the photos and videos, and I journaled so much, and I was so creative because I gave myself pause and space to allow that to happen. I'm sorry, I'm talking like so much. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. Okay. And I think that came out in your posts. And I feel like this last Camino that I walked, I was kind of the opposite. I had a date I had to arrive somewhere, and I think it's a whole different perspective. And I'm like, okay, the next one I'm doing, I'm not going to have a date, because just looking at how rich yours was just made it so beautiful. And I really want to slow that down. And I want to encourage others that when we can, and we can't always, do it exactly as we want, but I think you give a really great example of how rich your experience can be by just slowing down a bit and taking your time and taking those days off. I loved in your documentary, I think it was in Logroño, and you're like, and so I spent a day and I had, ice creams and pastries,
oh my God,
and more pastries and eggs and pastries. And I'm like, that's beautiful.
I was able to I binged on food, I binged on nature, like on churches. It was just like I had all this time. It was, oh my God, I just thinking about it's giving me chills. Like even just the nature on the Camino. Like I would see people just like hurry past me, and I'm like, you just missed this thing happening with this flower, and you're missing the light hitting here. But I'm also like a photographer, so it's really hard. I see the details, like everything pops out to me. But I think like one of the thing is like I was able to take a lunch break like on a random place because I was like, it's cool if I take a rest here in the next city, or if I get there a little late. But I think that flexibility helped me see the details in the Camino, which is where the beauty's at, right? Like in those fine little things that most people miss. That's the magic. It was so incredible. I miss it so much. Just like
I could tell.
It's like in me. It's like in me. I'm a fan.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to get back out and walk. I wanted to ask you, were you an experienced hiker before this? And the reason I'm asking you this is that in one part of the footage, you're showing the food that you were prepping with every day. And then at one point you're putting together this little meal in a salad bag. And I was like, this girl's so creative. Has she been walking the PCH? Like, how does she? Can you speak to that a little bit? Because and then my next question is, typically, the recommendation is don't carry more than 10% of your body weight in your backpack. And I'm thinking about all the things that you're doing and documenting this and whatnot. And I just wondered, was your backpack heavy? Mm-hmm. And then because you did have like a couple of tins of food and different things. So I want to talk about both of those. Okay. So tell me about this salad in a bag.
Oh my gosh.
What was in that?
So I'm not an experienced hiker. I think that was the first part. I'm not an experienced hiker. I mean, I always had an affinity towards hiking, but I grew up in the city. So I didn't really have much exposure at all. So this is a whole other world of like long distance walking and like doing stuff outside in that way. But my boyfriend and I, when we lived in the Bay for a little bit and we lived in a van, like we wanted the whole experience. So we did that for like a year. So when we lived in the van in California, it like helped us with like creating little meals out of like, I don't know. It's just like, we just became really ingenuitive about like creating food because we didn't have like a stove and like a whole kitchen. So we would have to like buy something from Whole Foods and then like put it in here. So we were kind of really creative with our food, but literally like that salad came because I don't eat a lot of bread. Like I think like depending on where you're from in the world, you can eat bread or not. Because people in Spain and France, they eat bread. It's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like my digestive was like, it was like my skin was breaking out. Like I just couldn't do it. So I had to figure out a way to like get some like some fresher food in my diet, because I eat a lot of fruit as well, coming from Thailand too. Like I was like basically like a fruitarian. So I think it was like, well, kind of, but I think it was like really hard for me to like eat the meals that were prepared. So I just had to figure it out. So like I saw like a bag one day and I was like, oh my God, they have like pre-cooked quinoa and like rice. And then I saw beans, and then I just started putting the salad together, and it was heavy, but it's just what like some people carry. Like the extra food was like worth the wait for me, And I'm pretty like, so I do weightlifting. I don't do any like long distance sports. So I suppose that like, maybe that's the one thing that I actually brought that helped me on the Camino was my strength. So the pack was heavy, but it was like, I could deal with it. It wasn't like a big deal. That was the hardest part for me, honestly, was like the walking and my feet. Like I couldn't walk for a month after and my adrenaline crash. Like I couldn't walk for a month after Santiago. Like truly, like my feet. I'm healed now, thank God. But I was worried that I had permanent damage because I would just never walk that much in my life. Like I just didn't do that. But I have no back issues or like other things that people complained about. So
I don't remember you ever even mentioning that in any posts that I read. I remember like some feet issues.
Oh, the feet were really tough. But I think like, again, I was inexperienced. I had like ASIC sneakers, like what people in Europe call trainers, I guess, or the UK, but I didn't have hiking boots. So my ankles really suffered. I didn't have a lot of the support, but maybe if I was a hiker, I would have known, like, have hiking boots. But like I just had sneakers that I used to run in Thailand, and that was what I had on the Camino. So
Well, but you made it
I
800
did
kilometers,
make
you
it.
know?
I did. But my bag was heavy, yes.
Yeah,
But I
I
had
was
to do it.
thinking,
I had
okay,
to
I
do
was
it.
thinking your bag must have been, but yes, you're so right about the diet here. I think there is a lot of bread that's served as we're walking as pilgrims. And and I just wondered, are you vegetarian?
That's the thing. Like I was a vegan for years, but slash
Okay.
vegetarian. Yeah, I was that for years, and then there's some other things, and I kind of realized how I kind of had some issues. I just realized some things, and then I started incorporating meat again and dairy, but I don't cook it at home. So I truly like when I go out, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have like a chicken, like I'm gonna have like a salt, like fried chicken. I don't know, but like generally, like I typically eat like plant-based and a lot of fruit
Okay.
and like a lot of like vegetables. So the Camino is the opposite of that, right? Like
Yes.
it's really it like I think I don't know if you could tell, but I could tell because it's my face. But in the beginning, I had like clear skin, and then at the end of the Camino, like my skin was like completely broken out, right? And I don't break out
Mm,
like genetically, like I don't really have issues with my skin, but that
yeah.
was a direct like reaction to the food I was eating probably, and like so it was really hard for me. My diet, that was a struggle, kind of food. I didn't really get to talk about that. I've journaled about that sometimes, but I was very like up to here with the food and the quality. I just felt as
Mhm.
if like people were just giving they just kind of gave the pilgrims whatever. It was just like, okay, here's a
Yeah.
piece of meat and fries. So when I would find a couple of places that had really nourishing like meals that were they like prepared from their heart, like I was
Yeah.
like obsessed. But I that was very rare for me.
Yeah.
And I always tried to carry like a banana. Then I would make oatmeal in the morning. So I tried to like have meals that like help my digestion.
Yeah.
I felt like yeah, that's it.
So you were doing a lot of grocery shopping. I think that,
I really was. I had to balance that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the reason I asked, is just give people encouragement that if you are vegetarian or you have a special diet, it is possible to
You
do
can
the
do it.
Camino.
Oh, totally. Totally. I mean, I think if you can look at my salad that I did, like just do that.
Mhm.
Like I haven't actually found like instant quinoa and brown rice anywhere in that way, like I did in Spain. So that was very surprising. So like yeah, like and then I ended up finding I forget the supermarket, but you could buy like all these like bulk goods and like like little portions. I
Yeah.
forget it's like red. I don't know, remember the name of the store. Ahora Mas, maybe that was a store. But you could buy like little portions. So I just had to figure it out. I always, if I went
Yeah.
to a city, I always had orange juice because that's like so cheap and delicious in Spain, like
Yes.
fresh orange juice. So that really helped me like try to, I don't know, what else did I do with food? And when I went to places, I always tried to ask them if they had vegetables. Like, verduras, like, do you have anything? Like any type, like give me anything steamed, but you could do it.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah. You can totally do it, right?
Yeah, I think you can.
So you knew you wanted to go on this walk and you knew it was going to be long. How was the Camino different than what you expected? What kind of things surprised you that you were just like, wow, did not see that coming, good and bad?
That's a really good question. Um, I did not expect how friendly everyone was going to be. I think
Mm,
that was like a pleasant surprise. I kind of came in, and this is tied again to like being in, like I grew up in a very like competitive, academic driven environment. And I was typically the only woman of color on top of it. I wanted to go to medical school and I was very close to it. So I was always like in these very competitive environments and also competitive schools on top of it. So I kind of came like with my guards up, like kind of like ready to like, and my guards are always up socially. Like I'm a very nice person, but like, I deal with people who aren't always friendly and that what
yeah.
is what it is. So my guards were up and I was like, I'm gonna walk. My friend Gabrielle from boarding school, actually, she lived in France. So she joined me until Pamplona. And then she ended up
Okay.
going back to her real life. But so I had her for the first couple of days and that was nice. But I kind of went in like, I'm gonna walk this alone, like community. I don't know about that. Like I generally don't have community. Like I'm gonna do this by myself. And then I was so surprised, like how kind everyone, like the pilgrims, like it was
Yeah.
like always like Buen Camino, where are you from? Oh, really? How are you doing? Do you want to meet up later? And I like generally declined. I kind of really needed like to do some inner work. And like, I really wanted it to be my Camino. I didn't want it to be like a community experience, like a lot of people use it for. So that was very surprising, a good surprise though, that like, it really is a place where like, you can find your tribe, you can find like your community there. If you want to go there, if you're scared of like walking alone, do not worry about that. I wanted to walk alone, but if you want to go there and walk with people and like meet people, that's going to be so easy. Like I saw really beautiful relationships blossom from the Camino. So that was surprising, but it was good. What else was surprising? The food was surprising, I think. Like, I think that I thought the food would be better and I would have more access to it. So I wasn't prepared for that. It was more expensive too. I think that was something that was surprising. I think that was after the pandemic though. So I'm sure that was because of that. But the Camino is actually not that cheap. It's not as cheap as I thought. And that was disappointing. I was lucky that I was able to like shift my budget, but I ended up spending a lot more money than I thought I would. And it was better than I thought. I'm not really a person to like, I can be very cynical, like, oh, like, cause I don't believe the hype, right? Like if everyone's like, this is the most amazing thing on earth, like, I'm like, I have to experience it myself. So I kind of saw the hype, like when I would, in some of the Camino groups, like, this is life-changing, it stays in your blood, like you can't get rid of it, you're going to want to go back again, you're going to be, while you're walking, you're going to be planning your Camino. Like I was like, impossible, like I'm going to be, no way. And I really was, like, as I was walking, like I wanted to do another one. And I was like, is this psychosis? Like, this is hard for me. I'm not even at Santiago and I'm already thinking about like El Norte or like the Primitivo. Like I'm already thinking about the other Camino. So it was better than I ever imagined.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So you're before you come, you're like looking at these Facebook forums, going, "Yeah, right. I'm not. If I do it one time, that's going to be enough, right? I'll never do that again." And then now you're walking. It's hard every single day. You have thoughts of quitting every single day. Yet you're already starting to plan your next one before you even get to Santiago. What do you think, or what was it for you that made you feel that way? That like even though it was so hard, you actually want to do it again?
Oof, the history behind it. It's like, I think when I realized, look, when I would, oh, I'm just getting chills thinking about it. Like you're walking and you're seeing people in front of you and behind you walking. And like, there's this collective of souls coming together and we're all made an agreement to like be better, right? Like literally, like we made an agreement to heal. We made an agreement to like find and seek. And I think that was just so powerful. It was just like, this is what life is about, right? Like becoming a better person, healing, exploring, crying, joy, like all of it. And I think I just felt all of that in the Camino and everyone else was in the same place with me. And I just really felt this, like, it was like the collective consciousness of all the pilgrims. I felt that constantly. And then the history of it, like this has been happening for hundreds of years, like way before me, like people have been doing this. And I just would like, with each step, I would like feel the people before me that walked it, right? And then on top of it, there's like a history behind it, like the churches and like back in the day, people actually were walking it for healing, right? They were sick. They were like ill, like they were infirmaries and like hospitals that catered to the pilgrims. So I think I just felt really a part of something, and it was like rich and it was deep and it was ancient. And it was just so profound. I like just scratched when I read Paul Coelho's book. And then when I read about the Camino, I like scratched the surface. And then when I got to the Camino and I walked it, it just became so much deeper, right? Like of what I was actually doing and the significance of it. And that is why I was like, well, why would I not want to do that always? And I remember telling my boyfriend that, because I was like, should I go back to the real world? I was like, babe, like, why would I go backwards? Like, why would I go back to like being in New York or having a job that I'm not fulfilled by, or like going out with friends and just drinking and talking about nothing? Like, I want to do this all day. Like, why wouldn't I I just wanted to feel, I felt alive, right? I felt really alive and connected to nature and to other pilgrims that were going through it. It's such a and then it's so safe, right? Like, it's just a safe trail that's a lot of energy has been put into it. It's like not paved all the way, but it's like not manicure, how do I say it? Like there's energy from each province and each like city that you're walking through to maintain it. And so you don't feel like you're just out there and you're gonna like get eaten by something, like, or like be attacked. It's like So it's it's like you're in the
Yeah,
wild, but it's very controlled and safe. And that was appealing to me. I think walking as a woman alone. Yeah, and as another thing too, as a female, like as a woman, I was just like, I've traveled solo before, but there's a lot of fear that's associated with it. You're constantly
absolutely.
looking behind your back, right? People look at you a certain way. They say weird things. Should I get in this cab? Do I trust this person? Should I stay here? So I had a lot of fear going into it, being a woman and walking alone. And
Agreed.
I didn't have one negative encounter, right? And most
Mm,
women don't. Some women do, right? But generally, like I feel like it's a very safe place for a woman to walk on,
yeah.
to walk this trail. And it really proved to me that humans can be kind, right? Like I just really felt like it like made, I believed in people again. I believe that maybe this world can heal, like walking on it. And I so like just one experience I'll talk about. I stayed in Albuquerque's for the most part until my boyfriend came, because we were both of us, so we like ended up getting a lot of private rooms. But and I stayed in like mixed sex dorm rooms. But
Right.
before, it would always be like another woman with me, so I wouldn't be alone. And I forget which city I stayed in, but I was the only. It was two guys, and I was alone, and I was so scared that night. I
Yeah.
remember just like I didn't really sleep. I don't know. I was just like, what if they do something to me, or like it's me, two of these guys against me, and
Right.
nothing happened. Actually, like when I got up, they both left already. It was like, we're not thinking about you. We're going on our Camino. Like we don't care about you. So I think like that's like one experience that made me feel like a little bit more confident about traveling alone as a woman. And like, I mean, there's certain safety precautions you take, but all my fears were washed away. Like whatever I thought bad was gonna happen didn't happen, and I could be a little
Mm.
pessimistic. So that was very healing for me to like things to work out. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was actually in a mixed dorm, and it was five guys and me. And
Wow.
so that was a weird feeling, going
Yeah,
to
it's
sleep.
weird.
And I remember waking up the next morning. It was so sweet. They had actually waited for me. And we're
See?
like, okay, we're waiting on you, let's head out, and it was, you're right. I think, of course, this is the real world and we always have to be conscious of that. But I think, I feel very safe out here walking. And wow, you said you had some many great observations and the things you just recently shared. So I wanted to go back and talk about, um, I almost find sometimes it's hard to walk by yourself, like there's now a lot of people that are walking and people kind of form these families and tribes. But you said, but if you still want to walk alone, you can do that. But if you want to walk with people, you can do that as well. So, what did you do? Like, did you have a plan each day to make sure you had so much time by yourself, or maybe kind of speak to that? Because I do think I hear sometimes people saying, well, I'm more of an introvert. I don't want to, have to socialize all the time, or the opposite of that. I'm an extrovert and I don't want to walk by myself. So I wondered if you could just kind of give us a glimpse as to what you saw, as you were walking.
Yeah. I would say that most people want to walk with people. I think they really go to the Camino for community
Mm-hmm.
and to feel like a part of something. I mean, again, this is tied up to like my own trauma and my own background, but like I said before, I felt very different than people in different in certain environments, and I felt very othered. So I kind of wear that, and I think I talk about that in the documentary, like realizing did I like manifest like loneliness because I wanted to come alone, and I felt because I felt that as a child. So I'm very comfortable, and I've had to cope, and I'm very comfortable with being alone. That's something that
Mm-hmm.
like I don't have many friends. I'm now starting to socialize and like build community more, but yeah, it's where I find safety in my own thoughts and with myself and processing things alone. And previously, not as much before, but before I kind of felt like people were kind of could be distractions and can be disappointing. But this is again my own issues, kind of like my thing.
Yeah.
But I feel as if like that's where I use a Camigas group, like, for example. I'm human, so I still need people. So I had my boyfriend. I didn't have support from my family at that point, but so when I found this Camigas group, that's why I started posting, and then that's how it
Okay.
became this whole thing of me like
Ah,
just because I was like I got so much feedback, and I felt like I had like a tribe of like aunties and surrogate mothers, and like
yes, you
it just
did.
makes me like want to cry. I haven't felt that before, so I just was like, oh my god, like these women don't know me from anywhere. Like they don't why they care about me. Like they're checking in. Like when I stopped posting as frequently, like a couple of you guys would like write and check in on me and be like, hey, no pressure, but are you okay? So I think like that's where I got the community from, like kind of virtually. And that's the beauty of social media nowadays. I didn't have that in person, but I did have some sort of support, obviously. I'm not going to say like, there were some people I saw were just like with like, I saw this one guy, I never forget. He had like, he didn't have like hiking poles. He had like a huge stick and he was just like he just was like, he had a mission, right? Like he was getting there by himself, no distractions. I wasn't that intense. Like if people came to talk to me, I would talk to them. But if I didn't want to talk anymore, I created space and said like, you know what? You're walking too fast for me. I always kind of said like, you're walking too fast for me, which is kind of just generally true. I was like, you're walking too fast for me. I'll see you in the next town. And like, so I kind of would like slip, like, like kind of slip out of like these situations that I didn't want to be in socially. Or I would say like, I'm going to take my lunch break here. I'm going to kind of rest and take in the nature, like nice talking to you. And people understand, like, I didn't meet anyone that was like not self-aware. Like everyone on the Camino is very self-aware. Like, I don't think I met anyone that would just ramble and talk. Like they picked up on context clues. I think like they would be like, everyone respected other people's Camino. But so like to summarize, like if you want to go alone, you will do that. People are probably going to say one Camino every time they pass you, until you get to the end. When you get to the end, it gets a little more crowded and less. It's just the vibe changes with community, but especially like from SJPDP, basically all the way to Leon, I feel like close to the end, like everyone greets you. Like everyone's like, Ben Camino, Ben Camino, Ben Camino. Which is really, really nice. So expect that. Like people are going to talk to you and want to talk to you because they're curious. Right. But if you want to walk with community, you can do that. You can find it. That's super easy. Like my next Camino, I think I'm going to be social. I think I'm going to like hang out and like I think I'm going to try that. That's a whole different Camino, but I kind of want to like, okay, see you in the next town and we get drinks and we have more bread and like more bread.
So next Camino is more bread, more socializing. So we're gonna have a whole different documentary.
I think so. And more wine and like more like enjoying it in that sense. I kind of went into this Camino a little heavier, but I had some deep cleansing to do. But yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's a beautiful thing that you're saying there. And I think that's something maybe to point out to people is I do think you have an opportunity to try out different aspects of your personality as you're walking, right? Like
I like that. Yeah,
like if you're if you're inclined to be extroverted, maybe try to be quiet one day or vice versa, and just kind of see how the day rolls. And you might learn something about yourself that you didn't realize. You don't have to, like, again, it's your Camino. You can do it however you want. And maybe one Camino you walk is very introverted in a quiet solitude one. And like you're saying, maybe next time you'll be in a space to be more social. We don't know. But I wondered if we could touch on, you walked, well, first off, you walked at a hot time through the Meseta. So we got to talk about that.
I didn't know. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Like you're walking in July, like through the Meseta. Like,
it was hot.
Hot.
I walked one day, it was 100 and I probably have it in one of my entries. It was between 105 and like 110 that day. It was if I was in the Sahara Desert. Like it was like a radiator. I never experienced heat like that before in my life. I didn't. I just never. Yeah, that was. How did it work out? Okay.
Yeah, that one stretch where you have to walk about 17 and a half kilometers, right?
Yes.
How did that go for you on that day with no service? It must have been hot that day, I'm guessing, unless you got lucky.
No. It was incredibly hot when I walked through the whole Meseta. Like I did not, like there were barely any cool days. I would leave early in the morning. I think that's when I was like, I gotta, no, like, cause normally I like kind of like would leave a little later, leave after the rush. And a lot of my fear about leaving in the dark kind of came up during that period, but I had no choice because I could not be caught out there. The noon, 1 o'clock. And then, well, actually, doesn't it get hot like around 3? Like, isn't Spain interesting? Like it really ramps up like around 2.
Hotter as the day went, right?
Yeah, it kind of gets hotter and hotter. So I was out early those days, like 6. I was like 7 the latest. That helped. And I had to I would have a gallon of water. Like I ended up, so when I first started the Camino, my boyfriend, he was like, Nagela, because he's like an athlete. So he's like, Nagela, you need to have like your camelback, like a camelback, like water pack, like, and a bottle of water. And I was like, I don't need that. Like, you're being like too overprotective. I'm fine. I'm gonna take my 2 bottles of water and I'll be fine. I had to buy like a water pack, and then I had to buy like, so I had a water pack with like regular water that I would drink all of it. That was basically like almost a gallon. And then I had like 1 electrolyte water, like with like double the electrolyte. And then I had another bottle of water that was just water, so I can like have easy access. So I had like 3 streams of water, like 2 here, like 1 electrolyte, because I get really dehydrated and I get headaches very often from dehydration. So like my electrolyte balance is very off. So I have to be very aware of that, because one day I didn't have enough water and I almost passed out. That was very scary, actually. I was going up a hill.
Yeah, where were
I
you?
had to rest. I was walking. Oh my gosh, I wish I would remember the town, because it's like a steep hill. And when you get to the top of the hill, there's like a water fountain area. And then when you walk more, there's a small town that has like a recreational area. I don't know I don't remember the name. Maybe you can like research it and put it in after. I don't know, but I wish I knew the name of it. So I was walking up this hill and I was going up, and I said, like, I can't pass out. If I pass out, like, too many people be worried about me. Like, I have to make it. I had to breathe. Because I didn't have enough water that day. So I got to the top and I didn't know where the next water fountain was, because sometimes on the Camino, especially during that stretch, there's really not a lot of water fountains. I mean, there's really none. Like, you really need to leave with your water or and I didn't know that until that day. I trusted, like, oh, there's going to be a fountain, and there was not. And I got really sick that day. I almost passed out. I got to the top of the hill. There was this huge, like, it was an oasis of just, there was a water fountain and shade. And I literally had to lay in the shade for like 30 minutes and like drink. And then there was another town, and then I got juice, I think. But that was really scary. So I don't want that to happen to anyone. It's a horrible feeling because you're alone. Yeah. And when I was walking, there wasn't much people too. So I was alone a lot. But yeah, so I had to be very conscious of my water intake. And fruits. I always had lots of fruits for extra hydration. In Spain, you can always find like, they always had kiwis. There were always like, I always would get a lot of oranges. What else would I eat a lot? Grapes. So I kind of would always have like really like hydrating fruit, because that would help me sometimes even faster than the water, right? Just like downing food that had like all this water content. But it was terrifying that day. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, because when I was walking that stretch, it was October, and I was thinking about that because it was a very pleasant day. I was like, oh boy, if this was a hot summer day, if you didn't prepare. Yeah, because I think we kind of get spoiled in some areas, right, where there's just stop after stop. It seems like there's cafe after cafe. You get something, but during that area, when they say there's no support,
there really isn't. No,
there isn't.
So there was an app so after that point, I really had to be more responsible. And that's when I was like, okay, you can't like just be willy-nilly. Like, so I started having to really plan and like really read about the stops coming up and what was coming. Again, I was a novice, so I didn't prepare. Like, I didn't, like, a lot of people saw a documentary about the Camino, like that movie, The Way, I believe. Yeah. Or like they had people who've done it before. I had none of that. I just read about it in a book and then I showed up. So I didn't know there were like books you can like plan your stages, and I just kind of started.
Really? So when you started out from Saint Jean, you weren't following any kind of guide as far as where you were
like I think I found like a blog, like again, like the internet's amazing. I found this woman, her and her husband, they like have done like almost 1,000 hikes. Like, it's crazy. So she had like her itinerary, and she said which city she stayed in and what hotels, and that I just followed her itinerary. I just followed it. I didn't even know like I should have figured out my own stages, or like I should have cross-referenced. I didn't really do that much. I had like 2 days to research essentially before I left Thailand. Like, I really didn't have that much time. So when I got to the Camino, the Camigas group, they really helped me, because I was like, wait a minute, I should probably like be more informed, especially after that day where I almost, passed out. And I was like seeing double. So on my phone, like, I have Camino Ninja. That, which was fantastic.
I use that one too.
That's really good for accommodations. And then Buen Camino with an arrow. That one was really good for like warnings, like telling you like this stretch is not going to have any like no bathrooms. There are not going to be any like water fountains. So I had to start informing myself beforehand, especially crossing that stage, because it's bare. and it's long and it's straight and there's not much phone signal and you're alone and the towns are like kind of empty sometimes, or not, people are not there because they're like in Madrid or they're not at that summer house or whatever. So yeah, but I actually like that stretch though, because
yeah, I did too. I was
like it.
dreading it. I
I
was
like
so
it.
dreading it, but it ended up being fun.
I
And
like it.
actually, it seemed to go by quickly.
It did.
You know,
I
it's
found
been under.
I found the last stage the most difficult. I found like Galicia to be extremely difficult physically. Like, thank God I was where I was in a better place physically. I was like pounding. I was like, but I really felt like like that stage proved my physical fitness, that I got fitter. Basically, like I was officially like a pilgrim and I could walk. Because I would meet people, like, this is a random story. I would become fans of people, like certain pilgrims. There was this man from Ireland. He was like, I think he was 65. Him and this other girl, she was from Italy, a certain part of Italy. She's a Camiga, actually. I met her on the thing. She was like, hey, you're Nagela. They would walk like 30 to 40 kilometers together. This 65-year-old guy from Ireland and this like girl like from Italy, like they were just like insane. Like they got to like Santiago so fast. So I always felt like I was so like not worthy. I was like, I can barely, 25 is pushing it for me. Like I'm exhausted. Like this is so hard. So when I got to Galicia, it was hard, but it was manageable. Like I felt like I was like doing it. Like I wasn't like forcing myself out of bed like I was like in the beginning part of it. But I found the last portion to be really difficult, like physically.
Well, I have in my notes, I want to come back to another topic, but
Yeah.
let's jump to this right now because, you know, back in July when you first started posting, I wouldn't have expected that you would have been literally running into Santiago.
I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing. I actually forgot, so I proved my point. I wasn't talking like out of my butt. Like that is the truth. I felt so like I felt like Superwoman. Like by the end, I just felt so in my body. Like like that connection that I needed between my mind and my body before I left. Like I got like yeah, I think like growing up, like I wasn't encouraged to like do physical activity. I always wanted to like do gymnastics and ballet, and I always would see other girls like do sports, and I always loved women who were like strong athletes. I just find it so incredible. And I was never that necessarily. Like I have natural athletic abilities, but I never really was a part of a team sport or pushed myself like that. It was kind of always very hard for me. I couldn't get over the mental aspect. So the Camino was like that for me. Like it was like this thing where like I was able to like really get in touch with my body. Like my body says stop, but like my mind, my mind tells me to stop, but like, and my body's telling me to stop. But if I can tap into my mind and like push myself, I could. And I never used that part of myself before. So by the end of the Camino, I just like, and I think it's a spirit too. Like it's such a spiritual experience. So in Galicia especially, it's like magical. I just can't explain it. Like the mountains, the trees, it's like something's going on there. Like I kind of wrote about that. It's like something's going on there. So it's very incredible. It like brings this thing out of you. So I would feel that. Like I would be going through this forest and I was like, I have to run. And I would just start running. And I just would feel this like, I don't even know, was it joy? I would just feel this jolt of energy. And then it just started happening. And then when I got to the Santiago thing, whew, I think, sorry, okay, let me, okay. So when I was close to Santiago, and I'm not even kidding, like something came over me. I just felt, I think the excitement of almost being at Santiago, I think the excitement of always being in Santiago, I think I saw like in the horizon, the city. I just wanted to get there. It's like I wanted to fly. And the only way to go faster was to run. So I started running, and then my boyfriend was like, he's on his bike, and he's like, you're back. He's like, you shouldn't be running he's like, you're running and you have your book bag. He's like, give me the book bag. I was like, no, I have to like run into Santiago with my book bag. And he's like, please. So I gave it to him for like a little stretch. And then I was like, I want my bag back. And then like I took my bag back, and I'm like running again. But like, yeah, I just felt like this like energy go through me. I felt like Santiago was like calling me the cathedral. I just wanted to get there. and my body felt so good. But then I had a huge crash after. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told you, like,
We're gonna talk.
yeah,
We're
we'll
gonna
talk
talk
about
about that.
that. That's real. I did not know that happened. I didn't know that was a thing, but
yeah, yeah. I definitely want us to talk about that. But seeing your face when you got into the square, it was so. It's usually a question I ask is like, how did you feel when you got there? And I got to actually see you walk in through the footage that you shared in your documentary, and the smile,
I'm so
and
happy.
also tears and smiles. And yeah, it was really moving to see that moment of you arriving. So I want to back up a little bit and talk about a couple of different things. So you go and walk in July, kind of when we had that window when we could travel again. We've just followed, what, 2 years of a lockdown.
Yeah.
And so you've got, our collective grief, our own grief during this time. And then you've had, some hard things that have happened in your life. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what you found about the Camino that makes it so helpful in healing with grief. So many of us walk with some type of grief. And, we kind of all have that after COVID. So I wonder if you could touch upon what you learned and what helped you to help process some of that grief that still lingers.
Okay. Thank you for asking that question. The Camino, like, you have to stay present, right? Like there's no, your mind can't. I actually thought that I would think more about my past and my future, especially my future in the Camino. Look, I thought that, I'm going to loop it around now, but I thought that in the Camino, like while I was walking, I would like have all the answers to like the job I was going to find, where I was going to live next, how I wanted my relationship with my family to be. I thought I would have answers about the future. And I didn't, right? Like I had to bring all of my energy, all of my like everything about myself I had to bring in to the present, because it was such a physically and emotionally taxing endeavor that like I didn't have time to like daydream about the future. It was about the now so much. And I think that like when dealing with grief and dealing with loss, like I lost my father in 2019, like 2018 actually. I get the days confused because that's how grief plays with you with time. But like I lost him unexpectedly. Like he was sick, but it was such a long, it was just, he got sick and then he just passed away. And it messed with my perception of time. Like I was like, well, I just spoke to him and now he's gone. And when I went back to my family home in Brooklyn, before my mother ended up selling their brownstone, so it was like, but this is his couch, and he used to sit here on this couch, and I used to come and say hi to him, and his mug is still here, and his toothbrush is still there. So my sense of time and space was like, it gets disturbed when you lose someone and when you experience loss. Kind of like what people probably deal with, like when they deal with a natural disaster, right? They have their house and then a flood comes in and wipes it all away. And it's like, what the, like, but I had all these memories here. Like what happens now? Like, does it mean that my memories aren't there because the physical place isn't there? So that's what I've been coping with. And I still deal with that a lot. Like, it's just this confusion. Like your mind can't grasp something that was so physically real not being there anymore, right? So I'm constantly like fielding between the present, the past, the future. Like, how do I deal with my dad not meeting my children, or like my dad not hearing my dad's laugh again, all that stuff. So I think the Camino, it drew me to the present moment. Like, and I was able to like feel every moment in the now. And I think that was very healing for me, because I've been so caught up in the past and the future that wasn't really living my present life richly. Like I've always been a very nostalgic person, and like this old soul who's like, I've always loved, like, I love period films, and I love like old clothes, and like, so I'm always caught up in the past, and the future is very terrifying for me. So I'm always anxious about the future, right? But I'm never like appreciating the moment in the now, like how great my life is now, or what's making me sad about right now, right? Like I'm always sad about like the past, but like what about my life now that I'm not satisfied about, right? Like what can I change now? So I think the Camino, I felt so empowered, because it was like, I'm walking to Lyon today. That's all I'm doing today. And this step is I'm getting me to food. Okay. And then this water is going to help me walk more. Okay. I'm going to take a rest here so I can like keep walking to this little town. It's just like I had to like really take it step by step by step. And and taking it step by step by step and going the pace I did, I was able to see how beautiful the world was again, and like how beautiful life can be. Like despite my dad not being there, right? Like, okay, I guess it's worth living. Like, I guess daddy, like, and then another component of that was like spiritually. And I just encountered, like, I mean, everyone has very different spiritual experiences and background, but I encountered like so much supernatural stuff happening. Like, I could write a book on it. Like, I actually didn't include that on the Kamiga's post page as much, but like what I'm writing now, like I kind of included more personal things like voice memos. So I took a lot of voice memos when I was walking, which was different than what I was posting to the Kamiga's group. The Kamiga's group, it would be like when I would get to my Albuquerque and I was like tired, I would like just like kind of like vent and like talk to everyone and like write about my journey, and like, and I would just remember everything, I guess, because I was going so slow. But like when I would be walking and like feeling these spiritual moments, like supernatural things were happening, I would take up my voice memo and be like, oh my God, daddy, is this you? Like, is that what just happened? Like that, like, it's just like so many crazy synchronicities, and I would feel things. So that was healing because I felt connected to like this spiritual realm, right? Like I felt all the energy coming off of the churches, people's prayers, their hopes and dreams. You feel that. It's impossible not to feel that. And like some people are maybe just don't acknowledge it, but like I was like, this, the Camino is such a spiritual experience. Like, I'm not Catholic, but I was in those churches, like I was in the church, like on my knees sometimes, like praying to Jesus. I was like, thank you so much for having me be here. I would like talk to my dad and my grandmother who passed and my grandparents. So that was healing because I was like, oh, they're still there. My dad's seeing me right now and he's proud of me. He's laughing at me because I didn't drink enough water. He's like, come on, Najee, why didn't you drink enough water? Like, so the two prong, like being present and then just like literally feeling his spirit with me when I was walking, you know, and holding on to that.
Oh my goodness, what beautiful realizations that you had. I was thinking about in the documentary, I think you're walking into a church in Punta La Reina, and you kind of take the camera around until it comes up to the front of the altar with the cross there, and you said something about, I could just feel what my grandmas or my aunties would feel here.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And so
yeah, because they were so Catholic. Like my great grandmother. So I was raised in Brooklyn, and my family's from Panama, but they went to the United States in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and they ended up buying a brownstone in Prospect Heights in Brooklyn. So fast forward to when I was born in 1990, when I was born, I was living with like, you know, we had like 3 floors. So it was like one floor was like my great aunt. The second floor was my parents and me and my sibling, well, my sister and I and my parents. Then the third floor was my great grandmother and my grandmother. So I lived in this like house with like all these generations of people. So I really saw them. Like I remember my great grandmother like saying her rosary over and over and praying and coming and making me sit next to her. And she was just such she should have been a nun. Like in another lifetime, she probably would have joined, like she probably would have done that if she didn't have a family. Because she was so religious. She was so into being a Catholic. She loved it. Like it really fed her soul. So I remember seeing that reverence for that growing up, and I have a deep respect for it. Like I don't agree with certain things about it, but I know what it means to other people. So how can I ignore that, right? Like you don't have to agree with it, but if it means something to someone, you should respect that still. And you should still be able to identify that beauty in that too. So I felt that in that church in particular. I remember, and when I saw the Virgin statue right when you leave St. John, I can never say the name, St. John Peter Paul. When you leave that city, when you leave there's a Virgin statue, and she's like on a hill. And she's just there, and it's like, and you know, like that area is so foggy in the morning, so it's just like this mist. It's like this, like it's just this moment, and the sun is coming through tiny a little bit. It's just incredible. So I remember thinking of my grandmother and my great grandmother and saying, like, Mom. I call my grandmother Mom. Like Mom and Grandma was my great grandmother. Kind of weird, but I was like Mom and Grandma. I was like, what would you say right now? Like, what prayers would you say? Right? Like, I don't know any of the prayers, and like, how would you spin your rosary? I just remember really like, because you know, certain things aren't passed down all the time, like from generation to generation for various reasons. The society we live in, it's not really about that, like legacy in that way and heritage. So I think for me, I've had to like really just imagine, like use my imagination, like, you know, like what did my ancestors do 1,000 years ago when they were going through this? Or like, what would Mom do right now? What prayer would she say? Like if she was in this church. So I had to tap in to this like imaginary source of information. But that made the Camino more rich for me, right? Because again, I'm not from that part of the world necessarily. I mean, I'm sure I have something maybe from Spain because my family's from Panama, but like that's not where I grew up. But like I was still able to like appreciate this church in Puente and like be like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, you know, like the people who were buried under the floor, which I learned they do that in Catholic. I did not know that. I learned that I'm walking over tombs, but like yeah. I appreciate every part of it by making it personal, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. But that was very well said.
Thank you.
So you grow up a city girl.
Yeah, city girl.
Right? In one of the biggest cities in the world. And I had to laugh at one point in your documentary. You have this one scene where these cows, and the cows here are big, and they've got horns.
Mean animals.
And you're just kind of, and then there's another one where you're feeding a squirrel. And but you talked a little bit earlier about something I think that you and I share in common, of this feeling of aliveness when we're walking on the Camino. So even though you are a city girl, you're feeling this aliveness in Galicia, in this, so take us back there. What's going through your mind as this huge cow is right in your way? So you're feeding a squirrel.
Right. I think so. That is one of the things actually that was surprising. I did not expect there to be so much like wildlife. Not like wild, like wild boars or like bears. Supposedly there's bears too. They don't tell us that much, but supposedly there's bears. I don't know. That's what this woman told me. She scared the heck out of me. I was like, really? But I did not expect so much like livestock like throughout the whole way. Like as soon as I left SJPDP to go to Roncesvalles, I was like walking past, I walked past dozens of like horses, beautiful horses, just like eating the grass in the fog, just like living their life. And then like it just continued like that the whole way. Like I just always saw livestock. I always saw cows, horses, goats, lamb. I don't even know what, sometimes if it was a sheep, a lamb, or a goat. I was like, I don't really know what these animals are. It was really funny because I was so embarrassed. I was like, should I put this in? I'm like, definitely. This is hilarious. This is so mean. But there's like this huge cow. And I'm like, hey, horsey. And I was like, that's a cow. But that's what it was for me. It was just like this city girl, just seeing all these animals up close. And it was scary sometimes. Like, I remember this one moment, and I was completely alone this day. Like I probably saw 2 people that day, of course. So when I was living in Thailand, there's like a huge stray dog problem. So I would always get ran off my motorbike by stray dogs. So I like kind of grew a fear of dogs, especially dogs that were like unleashed and without owners nearby. So I was very scared when I went to Spain. I was like, am I going to encounter like stray dogs, aggressive territorial dogs? Like I've seen dogs like bite people on motorbikes and attack them if they're scared. They don't mean to be mean, but like they're terrified. They don't know what you're gonna do as an animal. Like they're powerless in some ways. So there was this one moment, and I turned on the camera for comfort because I was so nervous, and like for distance, like it was a weapon or something, but it isn't because I can't do anything with a phone. But there's it was a huge shepherd dog, I suppose.
Oh, that was a big dog.
It was huge. And remember, I'm not like, I've never had a dog growing up. Like I just left Thailand where I like was traumatized with stray dogs, like unleashed. And he looks at me and I see him, I'm like, oh shoot. And I'm like, I was going to turn back around. I was like, I can't turn back around. There's no, and on the trail, like, it's not like you can hail a taxi. Like you got to walk to the next spot. Like there's no, people think like you can like, in certain stretches, like you can't get out of walking to where you got to go. So like you like plan it well. So I was like, I have to walk through these dogs. And I didn't see a person nearby. So I see him leaping. He's leaping and he's, like you said, like full of life, right? Like he's just like looking at me. So this one girl taught me like, hello, you should say, like, use a really sweet voice, angelic, say hola. So I started doing that. And then he starts bouncing around happy. And I'm like, oh, I think he wants to play. I'm like, but I don't know still, because there's another dog behind him that was like still like standing guard. Yes. So I just had to keep walking past and like keep saying, hello, I'm your friend. And then I saw the man and I said, like in Spanish, I was like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, pasa. And he's like, nothing. Like, come on, pass. He's like, they're not going to do anything to you. Like, don't be silly. So I was like, okay, fine. But, yeah, I was like, come on. But yeah, I think that was so surprising, like the life on the Camino, like in nature, people, but then like animals. Like these people are farmers, right? Like these people like they're providing the rest of the country sometimes with like certain like with wheat, with dairy, with cheese, like so like that is also, it was very cool to see that part of Spain, because I'm from the city, so I'm not around farmland. I'm not connected to people who like make food. I don't know anything about that process. I would like to do permaculture and have my own little homestead, but I'm so far from that right now. So seeing that was like very inspiring, but also like grounding. Like, oh, there's people on this planet, most people on this planet like grow their own food, right? And grow food for other people, actually. Like you're just this spoiled city girl who goes to Whole Foods and gets like whatever she wants, or Trader Joe's, and it's all prepackaged, but that's not the reality, like, you know, in other places. But yeah, so it was teaming with life. That was great. So I did feel that lonely sometimes, which was nice, but I was scared of the cows, because I heard that cows like get aggressive, supposedly.
Well, I mean, you're pretty exposed out there, right? Like a couple of times I've walked past some cows and I'm kind of looking around and thinking, okay, what would I do if one of them decided to charge?
Seriously, yeah.
Where are you gonna go?
And cows they're huge, and they have this like very serious, discerning look about them. Like, you know, I think people realize like these animals they have their little animal souls. Like they have their whole like language. They communicate with each other. Like they're thinking, they're present. You know, they're not like a rock. They're real. So like they would, like you said, like you'll walk past a cow and they'll look at you.
Yes.
And they'll go like this. And they're like, okay, you're good. You can keep walking. So like I felt that energy a lot. And I was like, should I look down? Should I make eye contact? Like, and I mean, most of the times, to be honest, I don't want to scare anyone. Like you'll see like a little wire. It was electric fence, right?
Yes.
So they have that, but still, like I think a cow could jump over that if it wanted to. I think it could like,
I think so
if it
too.
wanted to attack.
But I do
me,
think they're used to seeing this.
They are, right?
Yeah,
okay.
But the dogs, I totally agree. But I wanted to say, but on the flip side, city girl gets to Burgos and all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to be in the city.
No, I hate it.
Now we should say the walk into Burgos, not the greatest, right?
No.
If you go by the airport, there is an alternate route. I missed it, darn it. But let's talk about that. So you get to the city, and Burgos is kind of, you know, Pamplona had a lot, but then like Burgos has a lot of services, a lot of restaurants, cute cafes, all the stuff. But you get there and you're like, I don't want to spend more time here. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about that part because it was so surprising to me. And remember, I was living in Thailand, like on this small island. So I wasn't around the city for a while. So, and then so I was excited to be in a city, like a European city. So when I got to Madrid, after I left Thailand, right before my Camino, I loved it. I was like, Madrid, I was like, paved road. I was like, oh my God, Madrid, it's amazing. The architecture, there's no like dirt. I was like, this is so beautiful. I loved it. Yeah. So I thought it would be the same on the Camino. Like I'll be walking and I'll be in the middle of nowhere. And then I'll have this relief by being in the city. And I hated it. Like every big city I went to, I truly hated. Like I had a horrible time every time. Like whether it was the people being weird or like my hotel accommodation was overpriced and I did not like it, or like the food, I couldn't figure out where to eat. Because again, one of the hardest part about the pilgrimage is like when you're tired, you just want to find food and rest. Yeah. You're not trying to like have options. For me at least, like when I got to Burgos, I'm exhausted. Then the siesta. So by the time I got to Burgos, it was siesta time. So where am I going to eat? I have to wait hours before I eat. And the place I'm staying is not really for pilgrims. Because when I got to the big cities, I would try to still look at a nice hotel to like rehab. But it always was like not that good. It was just, I did not like the city. It was too many people. It was like too dirty for some reason, like socially, spiritually, like physically. It was just like it was too cluttered. I felt lost. I felt out of place. I just could not believe it. Like I really thought that every city I would love, the big ones. So what I decided, like when I do the Camino again, and my boyfriend wants to redo the Camino Frances. He wants to bike the whole thing next time. So I think like I'm just gonna like pass through the big cities. I think I'm just gonna like, and some pilgrims do that actually. Like I would meet a lot of pilgrims. They would just like keep walking. They'd be like, okay, so you see them keep walking like outside the city limits. So people do that. I just thought I was like, hell no, like I'm gonna be in the city and like have delicious food. But and what would happen many times would like I would like find, because I like to like go out, I like cuisine, and like my mom and I, like, we really bond over like different types of food from different cultures and like doing food tours. So I would have like a list of like all these restaurants I wanted to eat at that were kind of like bougie and like, but they wouldn't let me in. They would be like, do you have a reservation? I was like, no, but I'm hungry and I have money. And they'd be like, sorry. So that happened to me so much. Like I could not eat at the places I wanted to eat at because I didn't look probably right. I literally would come like tattered. You know, pilgrims always look. We could tell.
Big backpacks. We can't even hardly walk through the place.
We're dusty. Like we have like our lips are dry because we're like dehydrated. So they literally would turn me around. They would be like, no, this is not for you.
I think you bring up also the point of, first off, the siesta, right? Sometimes that siesta time frame doesn't work with the pilgrim walking schedule, right?
Nope.
Right? You arrive in the big city at 2:00 and there's no food being served or whatever, you know, it can be real rough. And then I think we look okay because we're around other people that have mud all over them and it seems so normal. And then you show up into a big city and it's like, oh, I'm really dirty.
And you feel that like, and I'm trying to be confident and like, I don't care about like what people think of the way I look and don't police the way I want to present myself. But like, I truly felt like I did not belong in certain spaces when I would try to clean up, but I didn't have that much clothes. It was but so much I could, and I had my sneakers. I didn't have, some people have like, I know some women would like have one outfit they would have to go out and like, they would have like cute-ish sandals, but I didn't have any of that. Like I truly packed light with clothes so I could have as much food as possible. So like, I didn't have like an extra pair of shoes. I had one pair of sneakers that were like disgusting. And then I had like leggings that I would wear to like be fancy, but they were still like had holes in them. So I didn't really have a cute dress to throw on. And I wasn't about to go shopping and go into a mall to buy a dress for what? Like I don't know. So yeah, but I would have walked through the big cities next time. So consider that maybe like when you're planning your Camino, like think about, you know, that juxtaposition between like being and really in solitude in nature and then being and walking to these tiny little towns and then going to like Burgos where no one cares if you're a pilgrim and you have these people that are like dining, and you know, Spanish culture is all about like enjoying the terrace and like sitting out and eating. So you don't fit in because you look crazy. you look like you were just dragged through the mud. So think about that as well, like if you want to, how you want to experience that.
Yeah, I thought Burgos was one of the hardest towns to get around. Just like directionally, like trying to find arrows or shell.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Maybe that was a part of it too. I think like I probably couldn't orient myself. I didn't know that though, because I wasn't speaking to other people. So I didn't know that, you know, that other people had that.
It's just hard to orient.
Yeah.
But I do want to say one topic I want to talk to you about was like the feeling of getting lost. You had that happen a couple of times. You had one day. First off, you took an alternative route that I've never heard anyone talk about.
I know, I did.
So tell us about that, what the name of it was, if you remember. Yeah. I can't remember now when I was watching, but I was like, oh, wow, you're one of the few people you're the only person I've ever heard that's talked about that.
God, I know.
But it sounded so challenging. So
it was really tough. Okay, I'm going to pull it up here. I think I was on my way to Ambas Mistas. Yeah, I think I was on my way to Ambas Mistas.
So this was after Febrero.
Yeah, so it was from Cacabelos to Ambas Mistas.
Okay.
And I have it here. Cacabelos I walked to Pradella, and then I walked to Trabadelo to Ambas Mistas. I think most people skip going to Pradelo. So essentially, there literally was a fork in the road. So sometimes, so when you're reading the apps, this is where it would have been helpful if I had community around me and probably people that I was walking with, because someone would have been like, no, we're not making right there. Like, we're going to stay on the road. I didn't know. So I was following the Camino, one of the Camino apps, and they're not always written clearly. Like they need editing. Like someone needs to go through and like update stuff, but they're free. So, I mean, whatever. But so some of the instructions are confusing. Like the wording is weird. It'll say like, make a right here, but they really meant to make a right somewhere else, or they really meant make a left, or they got the kilometers wrong. So I read something incorrectly, and then I was alone, so that made me extra bold. But basically, I made a right when I shouldn't have. I knew I was making. The thing was, I chose that route, but I did not understand how much harder it would be and how much more kilometers it would add to my journey.
Yeah.
And so when I realized I was lost, I actually got lost a couple of times. This was like I got lost kind of, but not really this time when I was going to Ambas Nisas. So by the time I realized like I was off trail, I was really off trail. And like,
Okay.
I literally saw two people. Like I was so high. I took like the alternative route that I took was like literally like over the mountains. Like it was the most scenic route.
Over there.
It was high. Like Lee, it was so crazy. Like I would be on a mountaintop and I would look down and I would see the pilgrims walking along the road. Like I was so far off. Like there was no way for me to even turn back. I couldn't even turn back around. And I had to keep walking. And I saw one other guy from Sardinia on that route. And we looked at each other and I was like, did you mean to do this? And he was like, no, like he didn't know like what this entailed. And all his friends were asking him like, hey, where are you? Because he was fast. So he thought he left early. He was going to get to the next town before them. And they were like, oh, where are you? And he was like, I'm here. Like, you didn't see this yet? And they're like, no, like you're on the wrong trail. But there is this really cool little town or like little albergue set up like up that mountain. I think it's called Pradella. It looked really nice though. Like it had like a cute little albergue, but I don't even know if they were open because no one goes up there. Like it's not the trail wasn't even that manicured. Like I truly was like out there alone. I actually saw this one woman, she was local because she said hola to me and she looked at me like it was the beginning of when I was going there. She looked at me like I was like, why is she looking at me like that? Like she wanted to tell me something. And I think she was probably like, oh, do you know like what you're about to embark on? Like, because she had her dog. So she's doing like a casual walk and walking back to her house in the hills. So that was tough. And then I got lost probably like 6 other times, just not paying attention, reading a sign incorrectly. I got lost. It just happens. I didn't think I would get lost because it's kind of very sorry, I hope you don't hear that. It seems very straightforward, but sometimes there are not arrows everywhere, or you're not.
I always found. Well, did you notice this? Like, everything's so well marked, and sometimes there's just so many arrows. You're like, there could have been a little more space in between, you know?
Yeah.
Like I get that. But then, I mean, because you're walking just down this straight, narrow road, like that. There's not even an option to get lost, right? And there's like a million arrows. But then there comes a fork in the road, and there's
no arrow. Right? Yes.
No arrow.
So this is why I love pilgrims. Like we kind of look out for each other. So like at some of those moments, you'll see like a pilgrim, like they like literally took rocks, and it was like we would create our own arrows, or like you'll see like a little graffiti, or like a little like someone would tie something here, being like go this way. But that I got lost also because the things weren't marked correctly sometimes. But one time I got lost really badly because I just read a sign incorrectly, and I was literally in the middle of nowhere. That was one of the most terrifying. I had to use Google Maps that wasn't really working, and then I had to put the terrain setting on, and then I had to figure out like where the different little trails were leading to and try to get to the main road. And I couldn't turn back around to the town that was behind me because I had walked past this like herd. It was a herd of like stray dogs. They not stray dogs that were aggressive. It was like 4 of them, and they were barking so close to my leg that I could feel their breath. So I was like, oh, I can't turn back around. Right. And the trail going to where I needed to go, this is where I was going to Samos actually. Because I accidentally, instead of making that left to Samos, there's like a fork in the road when you're the last town you leave. I have a picture of it. Instead of making the left, my boyfriend and I decided to make a right. I misread the marker, and that right was actually to Saria, not to Samos. So the route that we took was to go to Saria. So I literally was like basically almost at Saria. And then I had to turn around because that's not where I was supposed to be. And my boyfriend had biked already to Samos, and he was like, Nagela, he was like, I think we took the wrong way. And he ended up like on a highway biking back to, because he had a bike, so it was much easier in that way. But long story short, I had to like put on a special setting on my Google Maps. But I was walking back and forth in this like really desolate wooded area that didn't even have like the only trail was like from tractors going in and out that were probably like taking trees down. So I was walking past like this part of the forest that had like no trees, that were like knocked down. It was terrifying because then I started thinking of like bears and like ghosts. I was like, oh my God, someone's gonna eat me. I was like, my imagination, I really had to like tap in. I didn't even cry. I didn't even have time to cry. Eventually I found the right route because Google terrain, I could see that I was like, I think this is the triangle that I was at with this little tree area. I was like, okay, let me try this route. And then if I have to walk back again, I'm exhausted, but I have to do it. And I was right. And then I kept walking, but it was still kind of weird. And then finally, I see a clearing and I see wheat fields. I never was so happy to see wheat fields because before I was walking through forest. So it's kind of intimidating to just be surrounded by like 20 feet tall trees. So I see a wheat field and I see this little isolated building. It looks like Texas Chainsaw Massacre type, like barn house. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't. I was like, this is it. I'm either gonna be alive or dead. So I'm like, I go and I see this man, this old man, and he's like standing. He's like, his back is facing me, and I'm like, hola. And I scare him because he's not used to seeing anyone here. He's like, ah. And I'm like, hola, lo siento. I'm like, Samos? I'm like, Senor Samos? And he's like, oh, sí. He said, keep walking. And then I got to Samos eventually, but that was one of the toughest days of my life. It really was, because the fear, being lost, hunger, all of it. But you're going to get lost in the community. I think it happens to everyone, right? I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Did you get lost?
No, I think.
Yeah, right? Okay.
At some point you get lost. I was going to say, how smart of you to do the terrain. I never thought about doing that if you do have the GPS service to do the terrain, that would be a very helpful thing. And again, I don't want to scare people that haven't walked. The Camino is well marked, but sometimes there are just intersections, or if you're not paying close attention at some point, it's very it's very easy to lose sight, and especially if you're in conversation with someone or you're in deep thought, like you've got. And it takes us all back to being present, right? Like you need to be present, but that's a practice. So I wanted to touch upon two things. You and I chatted just a brief few minutes about your boyfriend joining you. And so I just wanted to mention to folks that he was not with you the whole time, but he joined you around Leon, but he was riding his bike. So he was having a different experience than you were having, but you guys would meet up, I guess, in some evening at night. But you mentioned something about feeling, I guess, kind of sorry for him because you knew he was still having a hard experience in trying to ride a bike. It's not easy doing the Camino's doable, but it's not a walk in the park, as I think you said earlier. But you mentioned in particular that there was a day or so that you guys walked together and you pushed his bike. So not only did you guys have your backpacks and all of your equipment for both of you,
everything.
Now so tell us about what that was like, and getting to walk with him, so you're not alone.
But I know, it was so nice. It was so nice. So just a little backstory, like I kind of didn't want him to meet me. I kind of was just like G.I. Jane. I was like, I'm alone, I'm independent, like I gotta finish this alone. I started alone. Like I was definitely in that energy. And he was in Madrid and I was like, you know what, come meet me, whatever. I was like, but you're not gonna be able to walk because he has like certain things, like, so he couldn't walk as much as I could. So he was like, I can bike. And I was like, all right, well, you can bike, but good luck. So he met me eventually. So he mostly would like bike ahead like a couple kilometers. And then he'll like wait to see me and like, hi, I love you. And then he'll bike again and then he'll meet me at the hotel. And to kind of like reserve, especially towards the end, like reservations were getting kind of weird. So I was anxious about like having a bed for us. So he would bike ahead to make sure like everything was okay with our hostel or the hotel we were staying at. But yeah, so one day we were about to leave and go our separate ways, and like we like didn't want to leave each other. It was like strange. I don't know why. It was just like, oh, I don't want to leave you yet. And he was like, neither do I. So we couldn't bike together because I didn't have a bike, and you can't shift the bike ahead. Like the bikes are heavy, they're massive. Like they're like these structures, and he had all his stuff on it, obviously. And I wanted him to experience like walking with the hiking poles and feeling confident walking, and like that he could do it in the future, like once he like got certain stuff together. So I pushed his bike for him a little bit on that route, and I would push it and I would let him walk ahead, and then like he'll wait for me and then he'll push it, and we'll take turns, or we'll have one hand on each handlebar and like push it together. But I felt like I thought it was more challenging than walking. I would, especially in Galicia, because of the hills. Like I could not believe what the bikers were biking up. Like, because if you stop pedaling, you're gonna fall, or you can't restart that momentum again. It's almost impossible. So it was really challenging biking. And I remember I met this guy. He was from Mexico, actually. He was from Mexico, and like so it was nice. We were talking in Spanish, a little bit in English, but like I met him in the mesita, and he was like a little insecure about like biking, and I was like, well, yeah, you're not walking, of course. Like in my head, I'm thinking biking's so much easier, and he was like, biking's kind of difficult, like it's not easy. And I was like, really? And then fast forward, my boyfriend coming in, like we were in Galicia, and I was like, oh, biking actually is really difficult. Like that is not like when some people feel as if bikers don't earn the Compostela, but I think that's not true. Like experiencing my boyfriend biking, and how heavy the bikes are, and the fact that you have to carry your stuff, and how crazy the hills get in Galicia, and the twists and turns. I think they earn the Compostela if they bike. I think they deserve it. I think they,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I want to make sure before we finish up today, because we've been talking for a while, but I think this next topic is really important. You ran into a woman, I think by the name of Maria, you mentioned in your documentary about her giving you some advice, and the advice was somewhere along the line that, the Camino can change your life if you let it. And you and I have been kind of having this dialogue since, I don't know, months ago, and we have both gone through kind of some letdown, some transitional challenges after we completed our walk. So I wonder if we could talk a little bit about what you've learned, that the Camino didn't end when you got to Santiago, right?
Yeah.
And I wondered if you could kind of share what that process has been like, and maybe advice that you can give to others, because I do think that you said earlier in the interview that sometimes we think the Camino is going to solve all of our problems. And then we get to Santiago and, well, we still have problems.
Yeah.
But other great things happen. So I wonder if you could kind of talk about what you have found. I think you had mentioned in a post, like, hey guys, maybe on Camigos or something, or maybe in one of our conversations, like, what do you do after? Like there needs to be more help and support, because I think we all talk about the logistics before we walk and advice, but there's a lot more once you arrive. So could you talk to that for a little bit? Share your wisdom.
Oh my God. So when I decided to do the Camino, I had like these major life questions, like about my purpose on the planet, about what to do next, my career, especially. That's kind of always a theme for me, like how I spend my time and how I make my money. And I thought the Camino would like I thought I would have the answers. Like I remember the whole time walking, I had a pebble, and I had a pebble, and I said, like, by the time I leave this pebble in Santiago, I will know what I want from the Camino, and I'll have an answer for it. And I kind of didn't, like, in that way, the way I thought I would. I think that was really hard about walking the Camino and then it ending, was that I still had my life to deal with, right? Like I still had to go back into society. It was almost like the Camino, I was so clean inside, like it cleaned me up. It like reorganized me. I was so different physically. I was so different spiritually. I could see things different. I had this grit about me. I had all this, like, I was so changed, but the world wasn't changed. And I was like, I felt like I had to re-enter the world, and I kind of wasn't prepared for that, honestly. So to be real, like, and to be honest, like I had like a severe mental health crash after the Camino. I think that I was almost like too pure inside. Like I was like too like whole. I was too like centered, and then the world is so chaotic and crazy that I had to like figure out, how do I apply this purity, this this love that I feel inside of me, how do I let that translate in this like crazy dysfunctional world where people are judging me again because of my skin color, because of my gender, because of my socioeconomic class, where those things didn't really matter as much when I was walking. So I think the advice that I have is that kind of expect that there will be some sort of a transitional, like there's going to be a transition emotionally and physically too. Like you literally, it's like hot and cold. Even if you're in the middle of the countryside, where if that's where you live in the middle of Europe or like in the United States, like in the middle of Montana, like the Camino is such a unique place, and it's not reality, and it's not reflective of the rest of the world necessarily and what the rest of the world will feel like. So I didn't know that. Like I thought that I would have these life lessons and then like the world would just magically like morph around me. But I had to and like just like change. You know, like I'm better, you're better now. But no, that was not the case. So my mental health really struggled afterwards because I just wanted to go back to I just want to do the pilgrimage again. But I just want to go back and walk again. Like maybe I'll get more answers if I go back and walk. So I think like what I came up with eventually, it took me a couple of weeks and months, was like the Camino taught me that like I truly did not know like how I was going to get from point A to point B. Like I didn't know. But I think that like I had this mission in me to finish and to get to the end. And I had this purpose and I had a certain value system and like the purpose in the Camino. And I had to hold on to that to get to the next point. Like, despite the fact that I didn't know how I was going to walk, I didn't know how I was going to get food. How am I even getting out of bed? Like, I don't even like the bed I'm sleeping in the next town. Like, how am I going to sleep there comfortably and feel rested? That didn't matter. The how didn't matter. It was like the why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to feel better. I'm doing this to heal. I'm doing this because I feel like I need to. And the what? Like, what am I doing? I'm walking the Camino. So like, that's what I've been doing in my life. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to find a job that's fulfilling. Like, I don't even know where to start. But it's like, okay, but why do I want to find a job that's fulfilling? Because I want to live my life with purpose. What do I want to do for a living? I want to share with the world. I want to connect with people. I want to share experiences. I want to help people heal. I want to heal. Like, I think I've been really holding on to those principles. And then the details of like how I'm getting from point A to point B, it doesn't really matter. It's almost like that. It's almost like enjoying the journey, right? Like, just try to enjoy the journey of life, because the Camino is a journey. Your life is a walk in essence. So that has been really helpful. And I honestly think to have certain support systems in place, which sounds like so cliche, but my boyfriend anticipated, he's like amazing, but like he just kind of knew that I was gonna go through like a little bit of a crash afterwards, because he ended up getting into medical school, and he ended up like getting into it, and then he had this crash when he was in medical school and he didn't want to do it anymore, and then he left, which is his story to share. So I think he's really felt like getting something that you want, and then the crash that comes after, and like kind of dealing with that loss and that pain of things not being how you thought it would be. But I didn't anticipate that. So I think he saw my focus, and he kind of saw me, and he was like, oh, I need to like create a safe space for her. Because after the commute, I wanted to walk more. But he was like, you're gonna need to rest. So he got like this overpriced Airbnb in Madrid, but was very comfortable. And he made sure I had everything in place. Like, there was only one bedroom, and he gave me the bedroom. He slept in the living room. So like I had this support from him physically and emotionally to just have space and to just really mourn that it was over and that I had to transition into the real world again. So that was really helpful him. And then something that I've not incorporated, but I've seen other Caminos, other Camigas, and then other pilgrims incorporate, is like being in nature still and like going on mini walks and recreating that experience. I haven't been able to recreate that because I'm like based in New York and have been in the city and stuff, but like that is something that I think would be so important. Like if you have access to nature, like go to nature, join a group, start a walking group with people, right? Like go, if you live in New York, go upstate New York and like, I don't know, find a trail. So that's something I haven't been able to do, but I think that would have helped me as well, because we're in nature so much on the Camino. Like that is what it's about. Like it's about being outside, being outdoors. We're not in the Swiss Alps, right? Like, but it is like a manicured, like wild, like you're in the wild kind of like, especially like being from the city. So I guess those, to summarize, like I would say having a support system, recreating the Camino, like physically in other ways, like being in nature, being honest about the fact that there's going to be like some sort of like transition, like there's going to be like a ramp, like, and then the fact that the Camino is not going to solve all your problems. It's just really not. but I think it's a good starting point to kind of find some answers and to see your life differently when you return to it, which is what it's given me. But that's it. But I miss it. Just like I'm like that doesn't mean that I don't want to go back, right? It isn't like I'm still probably gonna go back and think it's gonna solve my issues again. But
but I think having managed expectations, right?
Yes, managed, yeah.
I think what you're expressing is that you actually did find answers. They just weren't maybe necessarily they weren't in the way that you
No, they weren't. Yeah.
And the same for me. And I think we probably can tell each other that a million times, but I think until we walk, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I love your question or your suggestion too of, kind of creating that safe space after, because I think, we walk into the square and sometimes we imagine what it might feel like. And maybe it does feel like that for a few minutes, but then there is that transition back into life. And sometimes you need to have a little space maybe before sharing it or how you're going to share it and to process it. And then also your last suggestion of reconnecting to nature, because I think that's a huge part of it, is that we do need to do that. So I think those things are all great advice. And, I hope anybody that's watching or listening really takes in that advice. And again, they're still going to have the same things that are going to happen, but maybe from our experiences, it helps a little bit. So, wow, this has been just such a delightful conversation. I couldn't imagine that I was going to love you any more than I already did, but now I do. And I want you to come back soon so that we can.
I think I'm coming in the spring or summer. I have to. I just gotta figure it out.
You have a place here, and I want you to come stay, and I want to spend some time with you and keep learning from you, because I think just watching your journey has benefited me, and I know all the women in the Camigas group and everybody else you've been interacting with. And now learning that you've done this documentary, I really hope that a lot of people get to see that as well. And I hope everyone just enjoys meeting you as much as I've been enjoying this. And I wish you well. And gosh, I can't wait for you to get back here. And I can't wait to see how your journey continues to unfold.
Thank you for this platform and just like allowing us to talk about this weird, crazy thing we've experienced that's changed our life. Because you don't meet many people who have done it. So when you meet someone who's done it, that gets it, it's like you already have a connection. So thank you for this and interviewing me and being so open and your patience.
Both ways.
Connecting.
Both ways. All right, well, stay on. I'm going to end the interview officially, but stay on so you and I can personally say goodbye. And everyone, the link to Nagela's documentary will be in our notes, and also your blogs. I want to make sure people see your blog, because you're a beautiful writer. And if you're in the Camigas group, you can do a search and find her posts and kind of follow along if you've missed those. So just search her name and you can bring them all up and kind of see how it was from the beginning, and see how much she really has grown, and all the cool things have been happening since. So anyway, everyone, stay tuned. There's lots more interviews coming your way. And wow, just feel so honored to be a part of this amazing Camino community and to have the opportunity to walk in others' footsteps. And I hope if you haven't walked yet, that this encourages you to get the courage to come and walk, because it can change your life if you let it, as Maria said.
Let it.
Well, goodbye to everyone for now, and please take care. Buen Camino.